We're on the topic of biohacking, and I am sharing some of the biohacking tips that I resonate with different women around the world based on this magazine that I got in a mastermind gathering with some of the top professionals in wellness. I also have this book here, which is called 30 is the New 100. What's cool about this book is the fact that early on in my career, I had this mindset, because I've been in the space early on, that I would have this conversation with my clients to ask them to imagine their lives in their 90s or 100s, but actively, not aging in a wheelchair or with a cane walking or with Alzheimer's or dementia, given that yes, these are hereditary to a certain degree. What the science has been proving and continues to prove time and time again is that through our lifestyle and biohacking practices, we can slow that process down, but also prevent a lot of those conditions. And so many of you may not really associate me with having spiritual coaching to my practice because I'm 31, and usually when you want some wisdom in life, you might find someone who's in their later 60s, 70s. And through one of the gifts that I have and why I am working on helping people and sharing my gifts with the world is that I also have a spiritual coaching side to my practice. And there's an interesting part of this book. Mindset is one thing, where 100 is the new 30. That means if you've been feeling and telling yourself that you're old and, life is ending quickly and you're having these conversations, there's an invitation for you to open up your mind a little bit more so that you can be aware that people are now living a lot longer and healthier than we used to in the prehistoric times as we evolve as spiritual and human beings. So, some questions for you, which you might find interesting to think about this month. Start with, and this will help you assess your spiritual status. Okay. Do you have any spiritual practices? Do you take time out to think about spiritual matters and resonate with spiritual energies? Do you feel spiritually aligned in your soul, or do you feel out of sync? Is there a sense that you're out of sync with this whole spiritual thing, or do you feel aligned with your spirituality and this greater good or greater purpose? Do you have a sense of purpose? Do you have a definition of wealth beyond tangible assets? What does wealth mean to you? How would you describe what wealth looks like now? How would you like to describe what wealth looks like for you going forward? Is it something in the spiritual realm? Is it something related to health, relationships, impact? Take a few minutes, maybe grab a journal to write out some of these answers, and you might find that you get a lot of clarity with where you are in your spiritual journey. Ask yourself, is this really what I want to define me and my life, or is there more? And it's interesting because I met Dr. Gladden and we hung out for a bit by the pool in Orlando. We had an interesting chat, as you can imagine. But what he says here is interesting, and I'll share it with you. He says, my personal definition of wealth does not involve acquiring things. It's about curating the capabilities, resources, and relationships to create new ways of empowering people to get what they really need and want. In short, it's about making a positive impact. This is where you should distinguish between what you're passionate about and finding your purpose. They can be two different things. You can be passionate about playing golf, but that doesn't mean it's your purpose. You could be passionate about health. You could be passionate about finance, investing, properties, real estate, writing, but that doesn't mean that it's your purpose. You could be passionate about art, fashion. There's so many things you could be passionate about, but when it comes to your purpose is what resonates with you so deeply that you would do it even if you weren't compensated for it. But you could be passionate about stuff that you love and enjoy. So if you weren't compensated for your purpose and you were ridiculed for it, because it's so aligned with you, you would not care. And that's how you know if you're living in your purpose. You fundamentally do it because you have to, as much as you want to. And passion and purpose can be synchronized. What you're passionate about might indeed become your purpose. When you identify it, you certainly will be passionate about your purpose. So it's good to have a spiritual practice that you resonate with. You know, there are lots out there, meditations, there are spiritual leaders, there are practices, there are traditional religions, there's reading. You know, Eckhart Tolle is one of my favorite authors. He has some really good books about living in the present moment, for example. But even just taking some time every day to meditate or journal can really transform your sense of peace and tranquility in a very chaotic and sometimes very confusing world. So having a spiritual practice is a fundamental part of health and wellness, and that's why I brought it up, because when we look at a holistic perspective of health and wellness, diet is definitely up there as a key component, but so is your spiritual health, your financial health, your emotional well-being, your ability to give to service, whether that's in charities or being part of a club, community. And there are a few components when it comes to physical, emotional, and spiritual health. So chapter 6, this one's on wisdom, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to continue sharing some of these conversations with you because it's what I feel called to do and how I want to show up to share different messages on my channel. Do like and subscribe if you enjoy being read to, and to some of the content that I share along the way. So in the biohacking world, it does seem that peptides have been a pretty popular component to many women's routines, as well as infrared saunas and supplementations. Alrighty, so we will get more into some of these content in biohacking. That's the theme. I'm glad that you stopped in to share your time, space, and energy with me. Thank you so much. And we will chat again soon. So till next time, enjoy your biohacking tips.